Hello there, welcome back to Around the Grid. After getting a decent start last time around, we are going to continue. We are just 3 races into the season, but things are looking good. Going into Japan, I believe they're going to be looking a little bit better, as we'll have basically the manufacturing done so that we have some good parts on both cars, giving us a little bit of a better chance. The car is getting there. Honestly, we are already first in medium and high speed, and once we get our front wing up and solved, we should be the best team in low speed too. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the confidence changes are going to affect us, because they are. Usually my playthroughs are with max level confidence for most races, so we've been debuffed a little bit. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. If you do enjoy this series, please like, subscribe, so that helps me out a ton. And with that, let's just get our helipad constructed. So we're still kind of doing the same thing we've done in earlier playthroughs, and that is that we are building, so to speak. We're building helipads, store centers, memorabilia rooms for the purpose of boosting our drivers. Basically, we still get a huge mentality boost, and the way that we're keeping that mentality boost up and running is basically right now by doing facility upgrades. So it's going to give us a little bit of a jump start to keep mentality, get mentality up there, and with good results we can keep it there as well. And of course, having a huge amount of stats for mentality, that's going to make life a little bit easier. So we now have the 2 front wings ready for both cars, which is of course going to put us very much in the driver's seat. We are also going to get suspensions. We're going to just have to remember to actually put them on the car, and also we're going to get that second chassis for car number 2. But honestly, that isn't really that important, I dare say. And if we take a quick look here now at the parts that we have, the chassis we are manufacturing, we could probably make an extra side pod. Let's see here. It's still 11 days until anything is done, so yeah, let's go ahead and make that extra side pod, and that should be just fine. But with that said, I'm gonna get the car set up. We'll head to Suzuka and we'll see exactly how we stack up against the rest of the grid. Now, as it turns out, our 2 drivers are actually pretty talented, and if we take a quick look at them and their expected development rates, they are very high. And in the case of other driver, the development rate is actually maxed, even without the best enthusiasm mentality. Mentality does affect development rates, interestingly enough, so that is something to keep in mind. But in terms of development here, we are seeing our drivers get 5 points for Yamamoto. That's basically almost a full, well, half a skill point, if you will, half an overall. And for Rivas here, it's actually similar. It's just that the stat points are distributed a little bit more evenly. Now, honestly, both of these drivers are pretty well balanced. There's no other way around it. There's no real discrepancies here in the skills. So we're very, very, very lucky with what we did find. And as mentioned, they are young. We have a 21-year-old for both of them, so they will still have a lot of development ahead of them, which could make things a little bit interesting. I do want to check one thing, though. Our affiliates. So Lawrence and Gonzalo here, or Ludovic and Gonzalo. And I believe very high development rate on one, and high on the other one. So probably not the best talents out there, but it is what it is. For now, though, as mentioned, going to get everything set up for Suzuka. But I believe we actually have every part already. Suspension, underfloor, side pod, front wing, and chassis. The only thing we're missing is the rear wing, which we're still developing. But we can now install every part on one of our cars. And with that, we now have the 3rd best tire preservation, 2nd best cooling. Top speed is still pretty good, because again, we have a pretty decent starting point. So once we get that rear wing, things are going to get actually probably insane. Now, compared to Red Bull, we have a pretty significant advantage right now in the low speed. We actually have a pretty significant advantage all around. The only real difference that we have with them right now is that they have better drivers, or a better driver. Well, technically both are still better. I'm very, very curious how it's going to go in Japan here. Yeah, let's just jump straight in. Let's see what Japan has to offer. Quality for Japan has reached its end, and it went fairly well with us on pole and 2nd row. However, I do have a complaint here still. Verstappen out in Q1, and what you can imagine is probably a pretty easy explainable situation. It was wet, went inters, Verstappen never did a second run, and yeah, that needs a fix. Same if Norris, but let's face it, Verstappen is the main rival. But this does give us a little bit of an easier time. Don't really know if this is actually representative for where we are right now. Our car is very, very good. We are, as mentioned, 6 in top speed. We have the best cornering car. So it probably is fairly representative. But I need to measure up against Verstappen. And currently that is not something that we are allowed to do. Now in terms of strategy here, I think I might just go for the very standard light softs into full attack medium. I do enjoy that. Problem here that we might be facing is the fact that it might just be not good enough in terms of temperature. So let's see what we can figure out. If we can actually come up with a better setup than that. And I do doubt that, I'll be perfectly honest. But it is possible because rain, we had a rain in quali, we had a rain practice. We actually have some extra tires available to us. And as you can see here, we have 3 mediums and a hard. And I believe we actually have a similar situation here for Yamamoto, 2 mediums and 2 hards. So we actually have a lot of freedom for once in how we set up our strategies. Now, the reality of the situation is light softs generally just are the best because of the fact that you can do a lot of, well, tire saving with them. And as you can see here, it's better simply because we have more tire available to us and it's also quicker in theory. The other strategy that I want to try here, since we do have a lot of tires available to us, is doing a couple of mediums and have them, say, run aggressive. It's not necessarily a good idea to run aggressive if you have a high degradation track. But we kind of end up with the same situation here. Running the mediums might be the play here. And honestly, it is a good alternative to have. Basically, if that initial soft stint turns out that we can't keep the tires within the temperature window, we might switch over to 2 aggressive mediums instead for the second half of the stint. So there is a point where we might do that, and it is a nice option to have. But I think we'll just stick with the true and tested strategy, as well as good old underfueling. Okay, plan has been set. Let's see what we can do here. This is our best chance probably to take a good piece of I can't find the word to catch up to Red Bull. Let's put it like that. This is probably a great opportunity to get that done. Lights out and away we go indeed. Not the best start there from Rivas, already falling down to 5th place. That's not good. Norris and Verstappen, on the other hand, hasn't had anything better on their sides. That is also good for us. Yamamoto has fallen down in place as well. So, not the best start that we were looking for, but let's face it, AI is very aggressive, and they are definitely going to be destroying their tires here. And we're going to try and use that to our advantage. We do also have a lot better tire preservation now that we have suspension on both cars. So I do believe that we'll be getting back the time that we're losing now and more. But for the time being, we're just going to allow things to progress as they are. Similarly to how I do most races. But yeah, we are managing tire because we have no need to push here. The AI is going to destroy their tires to a level we're going to catch up to them by the end of the stint. And also with the confidence changes, it's not actually a bad thing anymore to get overtaken because it will easily fix itself. But yeah, let's see if we can catch Perez by the end of our first stint. So we are getting closer to the end of our rivals' first stint. As you can see, Leclerc and Perez here are running together. They've about 40% of the tires left. We have good 68%, 67%. So as you can imagine, that is going to give us a pretty healthy advantage here. We're just 3 seconds behind. We gained a few tenths on the previous laps. Yamamoto has fallen down behind Piastri, but honestly, it's not a big deal. We are basically just 4 points off the lead here. We have better tires. If we push, we will definitely be overtaking them. We do also have a bit of a concern here with tire temperatures. As you can see, they are underheating a little bit, and that is losing us some time. Let me be perfectly clear. It is losing you time to be underheating, but in this scenario, it's not actually bad enough that we are losing out the cars ahead, because Perez, Leclerc, both of them have destroyed their tires. They both are going to have to pit very, very soon. So what we could do here to kind of combat that and be a little bit strategic about our choices is to switch, as I mentioned, to a 2 medium stint where we do 2 aggressive stints here. And that wouldn't be a terrible idea, honestly. As you can see, it's a tiny amount slower than the base strategy here, but we'd be able to keep the mediums within temperature for the entire stint. That 1 second slower basically will then amount to, not really being slower at all, because we are losing a tiny bit of pace because we're running under our temperature, and we do need to take that into consideration. Now, we could probably start pushing a little bit, at least put them up to standard to make sure they stay within the temperature window. But I do believe now we're going to be switching over to a little bit of a different strategy, and I do think that is going to help us out in the long run. So let's see if the 2 mediums here are going to work out for us. I think they will. And we should be seeing ourselves catching Leclerc and Perez within just a few laps time. Already on this lap, we gained between 3 to 3/10 to a second, depending on who we look at. DRS does make the laps a little bit weird, but we are now within DRS of the 2 cars in front, and we used half of the time that they have. So strategically, I'd say it still worked out just as anticipated. Let's see what we can do before we end up pitting. So both Perez and Leclerc have pitted now, and as you can see, Leclerc is definitely pushing his second set of softs quite intensely here. It's not that long since he pitted, just a couple of laps. We are pushing our tires too in order to kind of compensate a little bit, but Leclerc is pushing like a madman. And if we compare lap times to Perez, we are really, really close. And in terms of how long it takes, or rather how much time we lose here, we lose about 23 seconds. We're going to come out behind Leclerc, but as I mentioned, Leclerc is doing a little bit of a weird thing where he's going 2 very aggressive soft stints back to back. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to work out. But I think we are going to be pitting Rivas here first on this lap. Then we'll be pitting Yamamoto on the following lap. So hopefully we'll have some clean pit stops. We could pit Yamamoto earlier just to try and jump Perez, honestly. But there's no real point. We'll still be fine. Now, in terms of Verstappen here, he has yet to pit, but he's up into 6th. Norris has pitted, and he's in 13th. He's actually going to be ahead of Verstappen by the time Verstappen does pit. So they will be in the points by the end of this. I can guarantee that, but they shouldn't be a threat to us, considering how far behind they are. And we do have ourselves a bit of a pit stop issue here. I feel like that is one of the worst pit stop issues I've ever had. 12.7 seconds was that pit stop. We're now a good 13 seconds behind Leclerc, 7 seconds behind Perez, and as you can imagine, if we didn't lose that extra 9 seconds on that pit stop, we'd probably be in a little bit of a better situation. Let's just say that. So yeah, we're going to get the Yamamoto in on this lap, but Rivas there had the Bottas experience, so to speak. At least we got back out on track and didn't have to retire the car. But yeah, that's not great. Let's see if we can avoid the same scenario here for Yamamoto. Picker, you better do well, or I'm going to be absolutely fuming. 3 seconds. It's 9 seconds better than the previous stop. I guess we'll accept that. See Paris here kind of flying by. But I'm not too concerned. Again, we have a pretty decent tire offset if we allow Yamamoto to kind of heat up our tires here. And then we use energy. We should be able to fly by without any problems whatsoever. The question is just going to be Rivas here if we can get her back into a podium position. But yeah, for now we'll manage. And I believe we're going to get within DRS really, really quick here. So, do we want to do that push that I mentioned? Probably at one point, but right now Perez is pushing too. So we'll just leave things as it is for now. Perez was really slow in the last lap. He's now at 33.8, 7 tenths behind Leclerc. And what we are going to do here is basically just launch a bit of an attack. We do need to clear him. And we do want to create a gap to him if we get it done. With DRS, although our DRS is pretty weak, that shouldn't be much of an issue. We also have, as I mentioned, a full battery. And with that, just overtaking him and creating a gap should be child's play, I think. We also do have a fairly healthy, again, side advantage. He is keeping up, though, which is a little bit concerning. But as long as we get a second by the time we get to the DRS zone, we should be okay. And it looks like that is not going to be an issue. Rivas is 5 seconds behind still, so a lot of work to be done there. But I think she too might be looking at a podium by the end of this. Verstappen has also gone for another medium to soft, so he's going to do another stint. But he is back in the points, and everyone is going to have to do another pit stop. So Verstappen in the points for sure, unless something special happens. Let's just put it like that. By lap 30, Yamamoto has caught up to Leclerc, and Rivas has actually caught up to Perez. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to have both of our drivers deploy with the hopes of getting an overtake done. And for Rivas, it's not going into the corner. For Yamamoto, it's happening on the straight. And we're basically just going to try and kind of do a replay of what we did last time, where we use energy to push and get away. And basically create a gap, because we do not want to pull along cars that basically have used their entire batteries, if you will. You want to avoid that if possible. Sorry, not use their entire batteries, use their entire tires. We don't want to be a DRS pulley for them. So right now it's looking very, very good. And again, as I mentioned, by the time we get to the end of this race, we'll be seeing probably a similar result where we are catching them with a huge tire advantage and then just overtaking them. I'm a little bit curious though what Perez and Leclerc are going to go on, because they should also have medium tires available, and medium is what I feel they would go to. But I'm a little bit surprised that Leclerc has actually slowed down enough here, that he's been kind of on par with Perez, if you will. Gasly has had a little bit of a spin to Floof's disappointment, I guess. That was actually us there. That's what scared me, so I guess we're indirectly the cause for Gasly's misfortune there. Leclerc is actually pitting. What is he coming out on? That looks like a medium. What about Perez? That's also a medium. So they're basically doing something similar to us, where they're going to go medium till the end. But yeah, we'll have tire advantage, and we should be able to overtake them once we get there. I think at this point, though, we're just going to go full attack. We're going to try and create a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field. Then we'll pit once these tires are completely used up. We're finally getting to the point where we are going to pit, so to speak. And for Rivas, it's probably a little bit later than I'd like. You can kind of see it here that we went almost 4 laps longer than what was intended. But the plan for this is very, very simple. Again, we get tire advantage. We can run attack for basically the last 5, 6, 7 laps maybe. And as a result of that, we should be able to get Perez. Leclerc is going to be a little bit of a different kettle of fish, though. But Perez is definitely within grasp, provided we have a clean pit stop, which we do this time around. And remember, we did lose 9 seconds on an earlier pit stop failure. And without that, we'd actually come out around where Leclerc is. So 9 seconds, 15 laps, fresher tires. Let's see what we can do here. We are going to tune it down to aggressive, though. Although, as you can see, we could run full attack till the end. But I do want to run probably 2-3 laps at just aggressive, so we have a little bit of a gap in case something happens. And that should be very much okay. For Yamamoto, if the pit stop here is clean, she should come out somewhere between Leclerc and Perez. That is going to be the goal there, but she definitely does have a brilliant chance here at snatching our first win. So let's hope that this stop is clean, because if it isn't, I'm going to be sad. In terms of Verstappen and Norris, both of them are on soft tires till the end. They can maybe catch up to Piastri. I kind of doubt that. But 7 and 8 for these boys do seem very likely. Clean stop for Yamamoto, which is kind of what we expected here. Did come out ahead of Perez, behind Leclerc. But as I mentioned, 3 seconds with a 25% tire advantage is nothing. So both of our drivers here should have a very, very good time and catching up to the cars ahead. But we'll allow them to run aggressive for about 3 laps, then we'll turn them to full attack. As it turns out, we have a little bit of a troublemaker in the Alpine, but also in the fact that, as you can see, Paris is actually kind of holding us up. And he's not holding us up just a little bit. He's actually holding us up enough here that Rivas is catching up. She's just 1.5 seconds out behind her teammate. And I think we'll do a little bit of harvest here just so we can get away from Paris, because we now have 10 laps to close down 6 seconds, which is doable. But it is going to require us to have enough battery here that we can just, you know, get close, pull away from the DRS. And that is something we'll be trying to accomplish here now. I'm fine with being close as long as we get into the DRS zone. That is fine. With that now, we're just going to straight up go ahead and deploy. With 10 laps remaining, we'll chase down the Ferrari. And I do think for Rivas here, just keep her on neutral for now. We will turn her up to full attack though. Both cars should be able to survive full attack till the end. As you can see from the expectation here from Rivas, that shouldn't be a huge problem. Yamamoto has already broken free and also closed the gap to Leclerc by half a second on that last lap, which is good. Just 3 seconds behind now. I'm kind of curious what kind of lap times we'll be seeing on this one, because Sector 1 is purple. Maybe we'll just keep the deploy on to get fastest lap here. Sector 2 is purple. And here's some of the most insane sectors you'll see. 31.4 versus a 32.7. Gained 1.3 seconds in the first sector with help of DRS, of course. Second sector, 38.8 versus 37 blank. 1.8 seconds. And what is the final lap time going to be here? 19.6 I saw there. So a 28.1. Yes, ERS. Definitely very powerful. Gained almost 4 seconds on Leclerc in a single lap. That's insanity. That's actual insanity. That's having like a NOS button on your car. But yeah, it looks very, very good. Now for Rivas, we're going to try and do kind of the same as we did just now with Yamamoto. I'm not going to give extra fuel. We're just going to keep things as they are until we get to the DRS zone. But yeah, 28.1. What's the lap time record around here? A 30.9. Yeah, we kind of crushed that one. Kind of crushed that one a little bit. And honestly, as you can see here, the last lap 2 was destroying it. Honestly, Verstappen is also destroying it, so that's a tad interesting. But we are now getting to the point where we are going to just try and fly by. A little bit more defensive from Paris this time around, but flyby is exactly what we did. The question now is, can we close down those 7 seconds? Because Verstappen has definitely held us up. Leclerc is also pushing now. He did a 29.3. Okay. Leclerc hasn't given up yet. We're still hunting him. But once we get within DRS, we'll probably tune down the car a little bit. Cool tires maybe a tad. And also recharge the energy. I think that would be a good thing to do. Now, for Riva, she has cleared Perez nicely here, 2 seconds behind, 4 seconds now up to the lead. And for Yamamoto, we are just going to go ahead and do a little bit of recharging. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. Rivas does set a new fastest lap, even though we did turn her down a little bit earlier than we did Yamamoto. So she too is gaining at the moment. And she too gained almost 4 seconds, 3.5 to be precise. But it is kind of interesting. I'll put it like that. We'll turn Yamamoto down to aggressive. We are still going to recharge. If we can run conserve so we can push a little bit of fuel later, that would also be amazing. But Leclerc is going to start pushing at one point, and I don't want to... We don't really need to save more tire. It's greedy of me to save more tire, and it's one of the mistakes that I do make where I think I'm safe. So I greedily save too much, and then I end up in trouble. So we're going to go ahead and push a little bit here. Maybe change this one to top up as well. Rivas is gaining though. Still gained almost a second and a half-ish on that last lap. So 1-2 is still on the cards here. Honestly. Yamamoto actually made the overtake there. I didn't see what happened. And we get a replay. Was it into the hairpin? It was indeed. That's a really good move, though. I do like to see that. The only problem I can see us running into right now is the fact that Leclerc's going to re-overtake here with DRS. And I don't think there's really any way for us to defend against that. I do kind of also want to slow down a little bit. Let's turn on always defend. Probably a little bit too late. But yeah, I would have liked to try and slow Leclerc down a little bit, if possible. But I think we now have fuel. We now have energy. And we are going to try again for this overtake as Rivas now gets into the DRS zone. Turn her to on a little bit of harvesting. Yamamoto got the overtake done again into the hairpin, but it's too soon. I think we go ahead and push here. We push, we deploy. We should have enough that we can do it for a lap and a half. And that will be enough that we should be able to catch up. I'm also going to tune Rivas to neutral just to make sure that she doesn't fall too far behind. But Yamamoto might have already cleared Leclerc, which would be insane, honestly. But she's done it. She's cleared him. He's not getting any DRS. And the question now is, what do we do with Rivas? Because Rivas is going to clear here. Doesn't have as much energy. But I think this is our best opportunity to get away from the Ferrari, basically. Gonna tune down Yamamoto here a little bit. Because she is safe, so to speak. So I don't want to force an accident by being too aggressive. If that makes sense. Bria's here too now. She also has cleared them. And I would be happy if they just stayed as they are till the end. But there wouldn't be any fun in that. So we'll just let things stay as it is. Both of them are kind of running the same setting. Rivas is gaining slightly though, so we might be seeing a last lap overtake here if she gets within DRS. But let's see here now. She's getting really, really close. Really close. Remember, Rivas does have a enthusiastic mentality. Yamamoto only has a positive. So we could be seeing a little bit of an overtake happening here. I'm just going to let them race it out right now without, you know, messing around with them. This is probably going to be the last chance, though, down this straight. And as I mentioned, our DRS is not the best. So that probably was the last opportunity. We'll keep an eye out, though, and slow it down if we see another one. But I think that was it for Rivas' chances to get the victory here. But I want to. Is a 1-2. There's also been a crash. Tsunoda seems to be involved with Russell. Okay. Yeah, that looked a bit weird, but basically Russell still had Tsunoda on the outside, and going across the track like that definitely equals a collision. And it did kind of take away from us looking at the 1-2 here. But that means Tsunoda is not getting any points because he got overtaken by Alonso. And he does have a lot of damage by the looks of it. He's lacking half his front wing. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But that's unfortunate for him at his home race. Russell is going to get penalized though. And Verstappen and Norris did make it up to 7th and 8th, kind of as anticipated. Leclerc faced 3rd, which is actually huge for us. Because again, our fight is with Red Bull. And there's not a single Red Bull car on the podium.
What a brilliant drive we just witnessed there.
That was a really well-executed race, I thought. Major credit to the driver, the pit wall, and the whole team for that win.
We may see these kind of scenes a lot in Formula One.
We'll take that. So yeah, 1-2. Probably a bit earlier than I would have anticipated, but we're not really lacking a lot of parts. So with a midfield team, we can definitely make this happen. And if we look at the constructors, then we are now basically 64 points, 65 points behind. So we're halfway there. cash Red Bull. Yeah, we'll have to keep this up, and also that extreme error from the pit crew. Almost took everything out here. Underfloor design is finished, and this is our final edition, so to speak. We're going to be putting this on the car as soon as possible. We could rush, get both of these for China, which honestly isn't going to make a huge difference. The main thing would be getting some dirty air tolerance back. It would cost us 400,000. We don't need to do that, though, so I'm just going to make them normally. And other than that, we are getting that rear wing design done in a day. Now, as I mentioned, because we probably are winning this season, we're going to be focusing designs, and that's generally what we'll be doing for most of this playthrough. But I'll be trying to improve the car with every sign. That should be a given. So I'm probably going to do 3 or 4 like this with the suspension. I do want to get tire preservation up. It gives you a lot more freedom. And it is actually really important for your pace, as you kind of seen with that last race. We do have a car that is overwhelmingly powerful in the corners, but the tire offset was nothing to scoff at there. I'll be perfectly honest. Okay, next up, we do get the rear wing tomorrow. We do want to make that one as well, so we'll keep that slot open. The chassis, we are not going to be manufacturing. We're going to be making a few more designs, so that one is also just something we can keep open. And if we take a look here, high-speed wing changes or low-speed wing changes, which means that there isn't really going to be much change going into next season. And we might want to just do a research or 2 for this car anyway to keep it somewhat competitive. But I think we will vote for the... Can't attempt to go high-speed here. Low-speed is probably something the AI will struggle more with. So high-speed should be more fun. Rear wing has been completed, and with that, we should be seeing our last big boost to the car. We get that DRS boost, we get a top speed boost. We are losing dirty air tolerance, which is kind of why the new underfloor also is kind of important. Dirty air tolerance is the least important stat on the car, I'd argue, but it's actually really important in wet. So if we want a car that's good everywhere, we are going to kind of need that. Okay, next up, we are going to be working a little bit on our side pods. I do want to make a side pod that also gives the top speed, but as you can see, we're losing cornering, we're losing engine cooling, so it's going to need a couple iterations before this side pod becomes usable. And that's basically what we'll be doing now with these 3 slots. We'll be making side pods, suspension, and chassis for the foreseeable future, probably the next 3 or 4 months, in order to make one that has a decent enough gain where we want to put it on the car, if that makes sense. Other than that, manufacturing, there isn't really much else to do right now other than make sure that we have enough spare parts. That's kind of what we're going to be doing. Of course, we do need to have slots available for the front wing. That's done in 15 days. You can actually slap a couple of extra engineers on it right now. That shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, once this front wing is done, we'll be putting that one as the final additional in car. And as I mentioned here, we're probably going to maybe use CFD time on the rear wing. But the third period should go into research if you're planning to stay with your team more than just a year. So do keep that in mind. China in 10 days. Let's see what we can do there. Helipad and the mobility room has been upgraded. We're still going to keep on doing these until they're maxed. There's just no real point not doing that. Every building level does help your mentality as well. And as you can see, there are some concerns with our parts, but again, not a huge deal. Chassis design complete, and as I mentioned here, we're not really going to be making this one. It is a minor gain all across the table. But the idea, again, my design philosophy, if you will, is that we make 3 or 4 designs in order to get more out of them, if you will. And then we make one to put on the car. Because as you can see, we're starting to get some decent gains here, 11 kph, almost full percentage of DRS, decent cornering. And once we do this a couple more times, it's going to be really, really nice. Yeah, we're basically just saving money by not making every design that we, by not manufacturing every design that we make. Let's see what the research results come out as. Minor technical changes for high-speed wing changes. Okay. So it is what we voted for, and it would have gone through even without our vote, so that's fine. Research period has begun, and as I mentioned, I think we'll use 1 safety period on the rear wing, 1 safety period on front wing, just to not leave them completely in the dirt going into next year. Would be kind of a shame if we did. And I'm also curious how the AI is going to research. Increase construction speed. We saved 4 days for $160,000. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's a little bit too little, if you will. Probably we don't have it for now, but I believe we do have some other parts that we can put on the car. And I do want to just show you here a little bit on the car part details. We have the best chassis when it comes to drag reduction and airflow. We have the best front wing when it comes to what it's strong at. We do lack a little bit in the rear wing, but that's because we haven't actually put on the new one. So let's put that one up and compare it. And it is the best cornering rear wing. It's the 9th best in... Sorry, that's actually wrong. It is the best medium speed cornering, best drag reduction, best... Well, second best DRS delta. So I'm a little bit surprised. I thought we'd score better there. But it's fine. This kind of gives you an idea of how your parts score against the rest of the grid. And this is usually what you'll be seeing, that you are first or third or fifth in the important stats while last in the others. And that's kind of what the min-maxing build does to your car. It's just how things are going to be. You are focusing on what the part is good at, and it's going to give you more stats than if you focus everything evenly. But it is as expected, and honestly, this could also explain maybe why the car performance estimation is off sometimes, if it works, with those parameters. But the car right now, best cooling, third best time preservation, cornering, top speed, kind of have everything right now, and that's going to make things very interesting. We also have that new underfloor on car 1. Probably should go to Yamamoto since she won last race, but I'll live with it for now. But let's go to China and let's see what we can do there. We are finally ready for China, and I made a terrible mistake. If you look at the car setups, they're 44% and 36%, and that is bad. That is bad with how they've changed confidence. This wouldn't actually be a problem before, but right now, it is going to be a problem. And it's going to be my problem in the sense that we're going to be stuck at low and very low driver confidence. Because again, the change to confidence means that it returns to the median after a few laps, 5-ish or so. And in this scenario, it means that we are going to be driving high risk for crashing throughout the entire race. And this is a result of me simulating the sprint weekend. Basically, I simulated practice as I usually do, but I went directly to the sprint. Sprint didn't have anything interesting happen. We finished 5th and 6th. Also because we had extremely low confidence. The car setups before the sprint were basically less than 20%, which I don't think I've seen before. But it was that low. And now we are going to suffer with the 36 and 44% setups here. And I'm very curious how this is going to go. We qualified great, by the way, 2nd and 3rd. But, as you can imagine, I'm very concerned with how things are going to go here. We do have 2 hard tires, however, so we're going to go with a very aggressive strategy by basically going full attack on the hards. Reverse does not have a medium. If she did, we would put her on that as well, because this is about 2 seconds quicker than this. So, yeah. Cross our fingers, cross everything we have. Let's hope we have both cars finish the race, because I don't think that's going to happen. And I'll explain why in just a second. Lights out, away we go. That looks like a very terrible start for our Yamamoto here on the mediums, because that's basically teammate already getting the overtake done. And we can actually see that across the entire line here. All these guys are pretty poor starts, with the exception of the Mercedes. That isn't really the important part. What I did want to talk about is the very low confidence here and why it's a bad thing to get your setups wrong now. So driver confidence is very low, and it will keep on trending to very low, and that increases the chance of incidents. It takes stats away, and even for Yamamoto here, that's gonna Yamamoto. Sorry, I don't know why I want to call it Yamamoto all the time. been playing a little bit deadlock. So probably that. But basically, both of our drivers now are going to have a high chance for incidents. So I'm going to go ahead and put both of these risks down. Basically, we don't want them taking the risks in the headspace that they're in, because if they do, they will most likely destroy the vehicles. And I would like to avoid that if possible. Now, we're still second and third after the start here, so it's not really all bad. But just to give you an this is actually hilarious for a different reason. We picked up underfloor damage on the second corner. Or rather, yeah, second corner. I don't know if that's due to low confidence, but it would not surprise me. So, yeah, this is going to get... it's probably going to get real annoying real fast. But let's see what we can do. The goal here for today is just survive. If we can get both cars on podium with a Verstappen, win, I would be happy with that. Because all we need to do is just live. So let's see what our two drivers can do. And if we might need to, get a safety car involved. For the first 12 laps or so, things have actually gone fairly well, even with the damage that Rivas has picked up. I'm going to guess a mechanical fault. But as you can see, we've been able to keep both cars within range of Verstappen, who's done what AI loves to do, which is to just destroy the tires on the first stint. And Norris is actually doing kind of what we're doing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he performs. But Verstappen has destroyed his softs. It is going to be something that he'll be pitting very soon with. And so far it's looking good. If we can keep this up, we should be able to keep gaps where we aren't close to other drivers. And that's kind of also going to be key. Because if we aren't close to another driver, we can't crash into them. And that's kind of going to be what we are hoping for here. Now, in terms of confidence, Yamamoto, because she has been fighting Verstappen, is actually at medium right now. Rivas is also pretty high up. Both of them have done a lot of overtakes. But as you can see, that confidence is dropping, and it is slowly descending back into a troublesome range. Let's just say it like that. Now, we also do have a problem with cold temperatures, but we do have a little bit extra to go on the soft side, so we can tune that up without any big issues. And we kind of can do the same here for Yamamoto, but we'll allow them to run the last of this stint, and we'll cross our fingers that we don't crash. We're finally getting closer to our pit stops here, and this is where things are going to get a little bit interesting. Now, in China, your average pit stop loses you about 25 seconds. And as you can see here, if Rivas pits, she's going to come out with basically Leclerc and to some degree Verstappen. So he's pitted onto another soft tire. He is pushing a little bit, but that should be fine. Yamamoto, now that she's pitting, she's going to come out where Paris is. So there is going to be some cars in the vicinity that could cause us, harm, if you will. Clean stop at least, which is very, very good to see. Rivas is also going to be pitting on this following lap. And we do come out basically next to Paris here. We're a little bit ahead. We are going to be burning these hard tires. We're going to do that with both stints, basically. Yeah, I would prefer to be as far away from Paris as possible. Literally as far away from any other car as possible too. And I'm very worried actually when we start lapping black markers that we might get into tad of trouble. Let's just put it like that. I thought we were going to have a pit stop issue again. Once again, got a little bit slow, but it's fine. And Rivas does come out in third, 5 seconds behind Leclerc, and 5 seconds further back we find Yamamoto. But currently, I'm very, very happy with the situation, and if we can keep this going till the end, I'll be very, very surprised.
Take a look now. Now look, here we head into turn 2. Can they squeeze by?
Did I give you a bit of a spook there? Well, honestly, things have gotten very, very well so far. As you can see, Rivas is back in the lead here, and with Verstappen and Leclerc needing to pit very, very soon, they'll be out of our hair. And also with the overtakes that she's done, she's back up to medium confidence. And for Yamamoto, no such thing exists. So I need her now to basically clear both Leclerc and Verstappen in kind of quick succession here, just to make sure that we don't have an incident happen. Basically, It's insurance at this point to just get by quickly. And that should boost us back up to medium confidence. It did. And again, that lessens the risk of incidents. So I'm very, very happy with that. But so far this race, been pretty chill, been pretty calm. We are getting close though to needing to deal with back markers, which is going to potentially make it not chill. So we'll have to see if we can keep this going till the end. We are finally about to get started on our final stops in. As you can see, we are going to come out behind Leclerc and Verstappen, but that's fine. We'll catch them by the end like we usually do, with the tire offset being a good 25% here. And again, we are going to be able to run hard tires on full attack. What is the issue there? 7 seconds stop. That's a problem because that puts us behind Paris. It means we now need to get 12 seconds in 26 laps, which is very doable. And honestly, sorry, not 26, 16, which is very doable. Honestly, I could see Verstappen and Leclerc potentially needing another stop. So this could get very, very fun to watch. We also did see Sainz picking up a bit of mechanical issue. What exactly is said issue for Sainz? It is gearbox, so he might be a little bit slow. But it's not going to be a problem for us anyway, so it doesn't really matter for our team. With Rivas here, the goal would be to come out ahead of Paris, if possible. And I believe it is. See, yeah, Paris is flying down the straight. Rivas is already in the corner, so we are clear. And for Yamamoto, clearing Paris and then hunting down the 2 leaders are going to be the goal. Let's see if we can pull that off. But just 8 laps to go now. We have caught Leclerc. There's still a little bit of time up to Verstappen. Clearing the Ferrari here shouldn't be an issue. And honestly, maybe I was a little bit too negative about the repercussions of low confidence, because we haven't really seen them, with the exception of that damaged underfloor. So maybe we are still safe. For Rios now, she's just going to push energy to create a gap to Leclerc. We don't want him to stay within DRS if we can avoid it. And if possible here, we do also want to try and snatch fastest lap with this push lap, if you will. Now, for Yamamoto, the goal is going to be very similar. Get by, create a gap, hunt down Verstappen. So that's exactly what we are going to do here. Let's see if we can actually get a nice clear with the big long straight. We do actually clear before we get into DRS. We now have a yellow flag. That's not good. Alonso, okay. So Alonso is the guilty party, not any of ours. That is actually very, very nice to see. We do clear Verstappen there. We do also get fastest lap with a 1:33.8. And now both of our drivers are part of the top 3 scuffle here, if you will. I do need Rivas to just get away from Verstappen, and now forget that he does not have DRS, because that alone is going to make life a whole lot easier. But it does look like Yamamoto is not going to need any help here to get the overtake done, and we can kind of see that DRS is going to open. But we didn't really need it here. Oh, never mind. I'd say, did we pick up damage there? Rick, what did you do? Look at this back marker.
Okay. Alrighty.
That's actually put us in a bit of a troublesome situation, because we used a lot of energy to create a gap, and now there's a crash. Is that Leclerc and Verstappen, or is that us? Is he gonna hit Rick? Oh, he is. Oh no. So Rick first spins and gathers all 4 of us up, and then he just gives Leclerc a little bit of a love tap on his way by. Looks like he's lost a part of his front wing, mainly. But yeah, a little bit of mayhem there towards the end. I don't know how I feel about this, though, because as I mentioned, the issue that we are going to be seeing here is basically the fact that we use up all of our energy. Now, it looks like we are leaving Verstappen behind, so it's not a huge deal. But it's still not great. The fact that we clear him, and then we have a incident that puts him right onto our tail again. Now, as long as you guys keep your confidence at an acceptable level, I don't mind this back and forth. We're definitely losing less than we would before and gaining more than we would before, so back and forth might be the play for now, just to keep confidence at a level where they won't crash. Although back and forth, carries the risk of crashing to begin with. It should be fine here because it is going to lead us to victory, I do believe. But that was, some weird incidents. Rick is still ahead of Leclerc. Somehow. I'm wondering if we'll see another incident. Rick's confidence should be, bottom right now. But we're definitely creating a pretty sizable gap here. We're gaining 4 to 3 seconds a lap. With our high difference for one. Probably also a difference in cost at the moment. That's actually quite insane. I think we'll watch the final straight here because this is probably going to be the last chance for one of our drivers to overtake the other. And into the corner, Rivas gets the move done. I think that is it. It's a very good performance though, particularly if you consider the fact that there was damage to the underfloor. Clearly it wasn't that severe. But yeah, 11 seconds ahead. Maybe I chose a little bit too high of a starting point. And I think next episode we're going to probably just finish off this season a little bit. I think that is going to be our goal. But for now, this was pretty good. We did get redemption during the race itself. The sprint was miserable. And with this now, we didn't get a lot on Verstappen. Just 5 points for Polo. No points for Toshiko. So, all in all, not the best. But we gained a good 20 points in the championship, and that is the probably important one, I'd argue. We're also getting paid a lot of money because we're expected to finish, just barely in the points. So life is good. Helipad level 4, we'll just make this level 5 right away. We do have that new front wing we'll take a look at. Like so. The problem here, though, is the fact that we did pick up underfloor damage because this is the new design one. So we do need more of them now. But that's not a huge deal. We are going to start manufacturing, and we are just going to make 4 of these new front wings right away. It's not a huge gain compared to what we're currently using, as you see, but we do get some good air tolerance, power preservation, cornering. So it's definitely more than worth it in this case to replace the ones that we have. And in terms of what I want to design here, I think we'll keep this slot open for another week and do CFD on the rear wing. It's not really worth it. Like, if I were planning to do more than one season here, I would just go full on research now because we're already kind of settled in. But I want to try and push the car for all that it's worth. So I think we'll use CFD to develop the rear wing. And then we'll probably develop something else, probably suspension. And then use the last 2 CFD periods to do some research on front and rear wing, which is getting hit by regulation change. So we're going to leave this slot open for a week until we get in the next CFD period. And then we'll get started with that design. Okay. I think that is a decent enough plan. Team is getting also boosted here. Almost all of them are enthusiastic now, which is good to see. And we do have enough time to just make one of these normally. That's what we'll do with the underfloor. And we'll just replace in car 1. Get rid of that annoying red marker. Okay, for suspensions, let's make another side pod. And probably another chassis after that. And then we should have a fairly healthy storage of parts here. Remember, we are making underfloors, we're making side pods, we're making front wings, so once the chassis is caught up, we'll be a-okay. But with that in mind, I don't think there's much to do now before we go into Miami. The only thing would be to get started with that safety project in a few days. Team Hub has also reached level 3. We have 10 million. We can spend money here to upgrade it to level 4, which is what we'll do. And we do now have a new ATR period and some complaints about lacking research. But yeah, we'll do research for the last 2 CFD periods, as mentioned. And I do want to use safety on the rear wing here to try and make it a little bit more powerful. So we're going to do what we did previously, which is this, basically. Add a couple, well, just one notch, really. Get a little bit more durability on it. As you can see, this is going to help us out with DRS effectiveness, a little bit of top speed. Not really any huge gains here that you'd expect to see with CFD time usage. But as I mentioned, that kind of shows up after you've done your first design. So we'll just put 6 engineers on it. There's no need for us to rush this, really. So we'll just use engineers because that is cheap versus using the actual rushed mode. That should be everything prepped then for Miami. I think we'll do Miami as well. Do a little bit on how to set up your car for a sprint because it's actually kind of important now. So let's see how we get that sorted. So apologies, but unfortunately I got a little bit carried away. And looking at the clock, I have to actually go now. So unfortunately, we'll not do Miami this episode, but I think the rest of the season has reached kind of a point already, probably a little bit earlier than I anticipated with this start, where we are going to be fairly good. So I think we'll wrap up the rest of the season in maybe 1 or 2 episodes, do a little bit of simming next time to kind of speed progression up. And I might take the Miami race here as just kind of its own little thing, where I talk a little bit about the confidence changes and kind of how important it is now doing your setup. So I'll see what I do with that. I'm a little bit uncertain. Thank you very much for watching, however. I hope you enjoyed. Focus maybe a little bit too much on the races today, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So we'll do, as I mentioned, probably a mix of following races, min-maxing, or rather min-maxing race a little bit, and probably a mix of simulating once we are in a stable position. I've said this before, but I think that it's important to kind of get a little bit of feedback on it. So let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, helps me out a ton. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.